Welcome to the 90th most popular podcast in the universe. This is part 4 of Dante's Inferno 4-part series.
Canto XXXII. If I had harsh and clucking rhymes, such as befit the dreadful hole toward which all other rocks point their weight, I would press out the juice from my concept more fully. But because I lack them, not without fear do I bring myself to speak. For it is no task to take in jest, that of describing the bottom of the universe, nor one for a tongue that calls mommy or daddy. But let those ladies aid my verse who helped Amphine enclose Thebes, so that the word may not be different from the fact. O beyond all others ill-created throng, who dwell in the place of which it is hard to speak, better had you here been sheep or goats. When we were down in the dark well, far below the giant's feet, and I was still gazing at the high wall, I heard one say to me, "Watch how you step. Walk so that you do not trample with your feet the heads of your wretched, weary brothers." I turned then and saw before me and beneath my feet a lake to which icy cold gave the appearance of glass and not water. So thick a veil was never made over its course by the Austrian Danube in winter, nor by the dawn under its freezing sky, as was there, and if Tamburnici should fall of it, or Pietrapana, at its edge it would not even creak. And as the fog sits croaking with its muzzle out of the water, at the season when the peasant woman often dreams of gleaning, the grieving shades, livid, were in the ice up to where shame appears, playing the tune of the stork with their teeth. Each held his face turned down. From their mouths the cold, from their eyes their wicked hearts, exact testimony among them. When I had looked around myself a little, I looked down at my feet and saw two so pressed together that the hair of their heads was mingled. "Tell me, you who so press your breasts together," I said, "who are you?" And they bent back their necks, and when they had turned their sight up to me, their eyes, which had previously been wet within, dripped tears over their features, and the cold pressed the tears into the eyes and locked them up. Board with board clamp never bound so tight, and they like two goats butted together, such anger overcame them. And one who had lost both ears to the freezing, still with his face turned down, said, "Why do you mirror yourself in us? If you want to know who those two are, the valley where the Bisenzio descends belonged to their father, Albert, and to them. From one body they were born, and you can search through all China and not find a soul worthier to be fixed in gelatin. Not him whose breast and shadow were pierced by one blow from the hand of Arthur. Not Focaccia, not this one who so encumbers me with his head that I cannot see any further. And his name was Sassol Mascaroni. If you are Tuscan, you know who he was. And so you won't have me make any more speeches. Know that I was Commissione dei Pazzi, and I await Carlino to excuse me." Then I saw 1,000 faces made dog-like by the cold, whence I shudder, and always shall, at frozen fords. And while we were walking to the center towards which all weight collects, and I was trembling in the eternal chill, if it was wish or destiny or fortune, I do not know, but, pacing among the heads, I struck my foot hard in the face of one. Weeping, it scolded me. "Why do you pound me, if you are not here to increase the vengeance for Montaperti? Why do you bother me?" And I, "My master, now wait for me here, so that I can be freed from a doubt by him. Then you can hurry me as much as you will." My leader stopped, and I said to that one, who was still cursing violently, "Who are you to reproach others so?" "Now who are you to walk through Antenora striking," he said, "others' cheeks, so that if you were alive it would be too much to bear? I am alive, and it can be precious to you, was my reply, if you wish fame, that I place your name among my other notes. And he to me, the opposite is what I'm greedy for. Get up from here and stop pestering me, for you flatter badly here in this swamp. Then I seized him by the scalp and said, you will have to name yourself, or not a hair will be left up here. Then he to me, though you scalp me, I will not tell you who I am, nor show you, though you fall on my head 1,000 times. I had already wrapped his hair around my hand, and had torn out more than one tuft of it. He barking with his eyes kept down, when another shouted, what's wrong with you, Boca? Isn't it enough you play tunes with your jaws that you have to bark too? What devil is tickling you? Now, I said, I don't want you to say any more, wicked traitor, for to your shame I will carry back true news of you. Get lost, he replied, and tell what you will, but do not be silent, if you escape from here, about him whose tongue was so loose just now. He bewails the silver of the French here. I saw, you can say, him from Duera, down there where the sinners keep cool. If you were asked who else was there, beside you is that Beccaria whose throat-piece Florence sawed through. Gianni de Sordogna, I believe, is over there with Ganelon and Tebaldello, who opened Fesna when it slept. We had already left him when I saw two frozen in one hole so that one head was a hat to the other. And as bread is eaten by the starving, so the one above put his teeth to the other, there where the brain joins the nape. Not otherwise did Tadaius gnaw Menalopus's temples in his rage. Then this one did the skull and the other things. O you who show by such a bestial sign your hatred over him you are eating, tell me why, I said, with this pact, that if you justly complain of him, when I know who you are and what his sin in the world above, I shall repay you for it, if that with which I speak does not dry up. Canto XXXIII. That sinner lifted up his mouth from his savage meal, wiping it on the hairs of the head he had wasted from behind. Then he began, you wish me to renew desperate grief that already presses my heart merely thinking before I speak of it. But if my words will seed to bear the fruit of infamy for the traitor I gnaw, you will see me speak and weep together. I know not who you are, nor in what manner you have come down here, but truly you seem to me a Florentine when I hear you. You are to know that I was Count Ugolino, and this is Archbishop Ruggeri. Now I will tell you why I am such a neighbor to him. That by the effect of his evil thoughts, trusting him, I was taken and then killed, there is no need to say. But what you cannot have heard, that is, how cruel my death was, you shall hear, and you shall know if he has injured me. A small aperture within that mew, which because of me has the name of hunger, and where others must still be shut, had shown me through its opening several moons already, when I dreamed the evil dream that rent the veil of the future for me. This man appeared to me master and lord, hunting the wolf and his little cubs on the mountain for which the Pisans cannot see Luca. When lean, eager, alert bitches, he had put Gualdandi with Sismondi and Lanfranchi before his face. In brief course, the father and his sons seemed to tire, and I seemed to see the sharp fangs tearing their flanks. When I awoke before the dawn, I heard my sons, who were with me, crying in their sleep and asking for bread. You are surely cruel if you do not already grieve, thinking what my heart was announcing to me. And if you are not weeping, about what do you usually weep? They were already awake, And the hour was drawing near when our food used to be brought to us, and each was afraid because of his dream. And I heard them nailing up the door at the base of the horrible tower. Hence I looked into the faces of my sons without a word. I was not weeping, so I turned to stone within. They were weeping. And my Anselmuccio said, "You have such a look, father. What is it?" Therefore I did not shed tears, nor did I reply all that day or the night after until the next sun came forth into the world. When a little ray had entered our dolorous prison, and I perceived on 4 faces my own appearance. Both my hands I bit for rage, and they, thinking that I must be doing it out of a desire to eat, suddenly stood up and said, "Father, it will be much less pain for us if you eat of us. You clothed us with this wretched flesh, so do you divest us of it." I quieted myself then, so as not to make them sadder. That day and the next we were all mute. Ah, hard earth, why did you not open? After we had reached the 4th day, Gatto threw himself stretched out at my feet, saying, "My father, why do you not help me?" There he died. And as you see me, I saw the 3 fall one by one between the 5th day and the 6th, and I, already blind, took to groping over each of them, and for 2 days I called them after they were dead. Then fasting had more power than grief. When he had said that, with eyes askance, he took the wretched skull in his teeth again, which were strong against the bone like a dog's. Ah, Pisa, shame of the peoples of the lovely land where C is spoken, since your neighbors are slow to punish you. Let Capraia and Gorgona move and make a barrier at the mouth of Arno, so that it may drown every person in you. For if Count Ugolino was reported to have betrayed your fortresses, you should not have put his sons on such a cross. Their young age, O nu tebes, made Uguiccione and Brigada innocent, and the other 2 my song names above. We passed further, where the freezing rudely swathes another people, not bent over, but with heads thrown back. Weeping itself prevents weeping here, and the sorrow that finds a block over the eyes turns back within to increase the pain. For the first tears make a knot and, like crystal visors, fill all the cup below the brow. And although, as if by a callus, because of the cold every feeling had ended its stay on my face, already I seemed to feel some wind for which my master, who moves this wind? Is not every vapor extinguished down here? And he to me, soon you will be where your eye will give you the answer, when you see the cause raining down this breath. And one of the grievers of the icy crust cried to me, O soul so cruel that you are given the last place, lift from my eyes the hard veils, so that I may give vent a little to the anguish that gathers in my heart, before my tears freeze up again. Therefore I to him, if you wish me to help you, tell me who you are, and if I do not extricate you, may I have to go down to the bottom of the ice. He replied therefore, I am brother Alberigo. I am he of the fruits of the evil orchard, and here I receive a date for every fig. Oh, I said to him, now are you already dead? And he to me, how my body may fare up in the world I have no knowledge. Ptolemaea has this advantage, that often the soul falls here before Atropos has sent it off, and that you may more willingly shave the glassy tears from my eyes, know that, as soon as the soul betrays, as I did, its body is taken over by a demon, who then governs it until his time has all revolved. The soul falls down into this cistern, and perhaps the body still appears up there of the shade who is wintering here behind me. You must know of him, if you have just now come down here. He is Ser Branca Doria, and years have passed since he was closed in like that. I believe, I told him, that you are deceiving me, for Branca Doria is not yet dead, and he eats and drinks and sleeps and wears clothes. Up in the ditch, he said, of the Malebranche. There were the stinky pitches boiling. Michel Zanke had not yet arrived. When this one left the devil in his stead, in his body, and that of a relative of his who committed the betrayal along with him. But stretch out your hand to me now. Open my eyes. And I did not open them for him, and it was courtesy to treat him boorishly. Ah, men of Genoa, foreign to every decent usage, full of every vice, why have you not been exterminated from the world? For with the worst spirit of Romagna I found such a one of yours, that for his deeds in soul he already bathes in Cocytus, and in the body he seems still alive up there. Canto XXXIV. Vexilla regis prodiunt inferni toward us. Therefore look ahead, said my master, to see if you discern him. As when a thick mist breathes, or when our hemisphere is all night, a mill appears from afar that the wind is turning. So I seemed to see such an edifice there. Then, because of the wind, I shrank behind my leader, for there was no other shelter. I was all ready, and fearfully I set it in meter, where the shades were all covered, and they appeared like straws in glass. Some are lying, others are vertical, this with head above, that with feet. Some, like bows, turn their faces toward their feet. When we had moved so far ahead that it pleased my master to show me the creature who had once been beautiful, he removed himself from in front of me and made me stop, saying, Behold Dis, and behold the place where you must arm yourself with courage. How then I became frozen and feeble, do not ask, reader, for I do not write it, and all speech would be insufficient. I did not die, and I did not remain alive. Think now for yourself, if you have wit at all, what I became, deprived of both. The emperor of the dolorous kingdom issued from the ice at the midpoint of his breast, and I am more to be compared with a giant than the giants with his arms. See now how great must be the whole that fits with such a part. If he was as beautiful, then as now he is ugly. When he lifted his brow against his maker, well must all grieving proceed from him. Oh, how great a marvel did it seem to me when I saw 3 faces on his head. One was in front, and that was crimson. The others were 2, and they were joined to the first above the midpoint of each shoulder, and came together at the crest. And the right one seemed between white and yellow. The left was such to see as those who come from beyond the cataracts of the Nile. Beneath each one came out 2 great wings, such as befitted so great a bird. Sea-going sails I never saw so large. They did not have feathers. Their mode was like a bat's, and he was fanning them, so that 3 winds went out from him. By them Cocytus was frozen. With 6 eyes he was weeping, and down 3 chins dripped the tears and the bloody slobber. In each of his mouths he was breaking a sinner with his teeth in the matter of a scutch, so that he made 3 suffer at once. To the one in front the biting was nothing next to the clawing, for at times the spine remained all naked of skin. That soul up there, who has the greatest punishment, said my master, is Judas Iscariot, with his head inside, waving his legs outside. Of the other 2, whose heads are below, he who hangs from the black muzzle is Brutus. See how he is convulsed, but does not say a word. And the other is Cassius, who seemed so powerfully built. But the night is rising again, and now we must depart, for we have seen everything. As it pleased him, I clung to his neck, and he watched for time and place, and when the wings were fully open, he took hold of the furry sides, from tuft to tuft. Then he descended between the thick hair and the frozen crust. When we came to where the thigh is hinged, exactly at the widest of the hips, my leader, with labor and difficulty, turned his head to where he had his shanks, and clung to the pelt like one who climbs, so that I supposed we were returning to hell again. "Hold fast, for by such stairs," said my master, panting like one weary, "must we depart from so much evil." Next he went forth through the hole in the rock, and placed me sitting on the rim. Then he extended his careful step to me. I raised my eyes, thinking to see Lucifer as I had left him, and I saw that he extends his legs upward. And if I labored in thought then, let the gross people ponder it, who do not see what point it was that I had passed. "Rise up," said my master. "On your feet, the way is long and the path is difficult, and already the sun has reached mid-tierce." That was no walk through a palace where we were, but a natural cavern that had uneven ground and lacked light. "Before I am uprooted from the abyss, my master," said I, when I was erect, "speak to me a little to help me out of error. Where is the ice?" And he, how is he fixed so upside down? And how, in so little time, has the sun made the passage from evening to morning? And he to me, you imagine that you are still on the other side of the center, where I laid hold on the fur of this evil worm that gnaws the world. You were on that side while I descended. When I turned, you passed the point toward which the weights all move from every direction, and now you are beneath the hemisphere opposite the one covered by the dry land, and under whose high point died the man who was born and lived without sin. You have your feet on a little sphere that makes the other face of the Judeca. Here it is morning, when there it is evening, and this one, who gave us a ladder with his fur, is still fixed as he was earlier. On this side he fell down from heaven, and the dry land, which previously extended over there, for fear of him took the sea as a veil, and came to our hemisphere, and perhaps what does appear on this side left this empty space in order to escape from him, and fled upward. There is a place down there, removed from Beelzebub, as far as the width of his tomb, known not by sight, but by the sound of a little stream that descends through a hole in a rock eroded by its winding course, and it is not steep. My leader and I entered on that hidden path to return to the bright world, and, without taking care for rest at all, up we climbed, he first and I second, until I saw the beautiful things the heavens carry through a round opening. E quindi uscimo a rivedere le stelle. And thence we came forth to look again at the stars.